Mm, Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm a supporter of Israel personally,
So am
and what
I.
they're trying to do.
Oh, that's where we part.
That's the part. Well, I'll say the following: for any Israeli or any soldier that's shot anyone indiscriminately, and certainly a civilian, they should be held accountable. And there are many cases in Israel where there have been.
Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We've all encountered this specific archetype online or across the airwaves, the self-proclaimed reasonable moderate. They step into the arena draped in the language of Western values, talking about democracy, the rule of law, and that all-important word, accountability. It's a comfortable, intellectual shield that allows them to support a devastating conflict while maintaining a sense of moral superiority. But what happens when that shield is shattered by the cold, hard facts of the ground reality in Gaza? In this exchange, we witness a supporter who is desperate to defend Israel, but finds himself utterly unable to separate the concept of a nation from the extremist actions of Netanyahu's hardline cabinet. You're about to watch a masterclass in how pure, relentless logic can strip away those moderate pretenses. By the end of this, he's backed into a moral corner so dark, he begins justifying atrocities he likely never dreamed he'd defend. This isn't just a debate. It's the moment a moderate conscience hits the brick wall of reality. If you want more deep dives into the shifting political landscape, make sure to subscribe to Progressive Britain and join the movement for a more informed perspective. Now let's watch this collapse in real time.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I'm a supporter of Israel personally,
So am
and what
I.
they're trying to do.
Oh, that's where we part.
That's the part. Well, I'll say the following: for any Israeli or any soldier that's shot anyone indiscriminately, and certainly a civilian, they should be held accountable. And there are many cases in Israel where there have been terrorists who have been disarmed, and then someone in the IDF has gone and shot them still, and they have been put in prison in Israel. That's what happens. So the fact and I'm not sure, to be honest with you,
I don't quite understand what you've just told me. You can take all the time you want, Johnny. There's no rush.
Okay, thank you.
You're talking about terrorists in Israel.
In Israel, there have been cases where terrorists in Israel have been shooting, and Israeli soldiers have been present and disarmed them, and then another soldier has gone and shot that terrorist, and that person from the IDF has been held accountable.
Yes, but that's in Israel.
Put in prison. No, my point is
that's in Israel, where everyone can see it happening.
Correct.
Because there's no journalists banned. There's no journalist banned from Israel, so you wouldn't be able to sweep that under the carpet, would you? But in Gaza,
I'm with you. I'm with you. My point is that if someone has shot and killed a civilian, or in this case, Israeli civilians, and they were the IDF that's done it, and they have no justification and had no threat towards them, they should be held accountable. But when we look at the situation as a whole,
I'm going to have to be a little bit strict with you, and I hope you appreciate that that's fair. But you can't say I support something because I believe that something should happen. You can only support it if that thing is happening.
Correct. I agree.
And it's not.
All I'm saying is
it's not happening. They're not being held accountable. Nearly half of the air-to-ground munitions that Israel has used in Gaza have been unguided. They're literally called dumb bombs. There's no control or discretion over where they land at all.
There is discretion. They've been warning civilians to move from one side to the other side, and Hamas not allowing them to move from one side to the other side because they want as much. There's
no evidence of that, of them being prevented.
There's no evidence of Israel warning.
No, there's no evidence of people being prevented from moving. But even if there was, then telling people of a specific ethnicity to move out of their homes is pretty close to ethnic cleansing, isn't it?
Why is that the case if they've got Hamas terrorists hiding in their homes and
there's no Hamas terrorists in the Holy Church complex.
How do you know? I'm interested. You know
because
that.
the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem said so, and they'll be in daily contact with the people who've been shot dead.
They weren't there either. It's in a church in Gaza.
So then you've got some people. Then you've got people in direct contact with the Christians in that complex saying there are no belligerents here, and then people like you, with respect, Johnny. I won't wait a sec. I won't wait a sec because we can't keep spouting from one position to another. You can't keep saying they should be held accountable. They are not being held accountable, which means that your grounds for supporting what is happening have disappeared from beneath your feet in the course of a single... I know you disagree, but I'm just telling you what everyone else can hear.
Let me explain why. The general goal of what Israel are trying to do is they have to carry that out. If you had Hamas on your border sending rockets for the last 17 years to you, you'd also realise that they have to.
So there we are. So you are supportive of everything, including two women being shot dead by snipers.
No, because not at all. If particularly Israeli soldiers have gone wrong and done something wrong, that doesn't mean the whole general cause is at question at all. The general cause.
Well, what do you think a war crime is?
A war crime. There could be a war crime. This particular instance.
But that wouldn't affect the general cause, though. So how many war crimes do you think would affect the general cause?
I don't know. It's a good question. But on the whole, 90% of what they're doing is trying to get back.
They were shot in cold blood inside the premises of the parish where there are no belligerents. 3 Israeli hostages shot dead, waving white flags, having taken their shirts off. So what is it that you are? What is it that you think you are supporting when you ring in to me today?
I'm supporting the eradication of Hamas, and I'm supporting.
Well, how's that going?
Hostages. Pretty well. I think there's probably 20,000, 30,000 Hamas soldiers or whatever they're called, terrorists, and they're probably doing quite well in getting rid of them. At the same time, they're trying to free up the hostages. One thing I don't understand...
But all we know about the hostages in the last 48 hours is that the Israeli Defense Force shot 3. And the wider analysis of the pursuit of Hamas leaders is considerably less optimistic than yours. Although I appreciate you weren't expected to be asked about it. So we can't claim that what is happening in the church compound in Gaza, or we can't claim that the oldest mosque in the area, the Omari Mosque, 5th century Byzantine church, which was destroyed earlier this month, St. Porphyrius' church, the oldest in Gaza, damaged in another strike in October, displaced people there, 57 disabled people in this compound, which was set on fire. They've now lost electricity. None of that can be justified on the grounds of trying... Let me finish, please. Let me finish. None of that can be... It
can be, and we've seen Hamas terrorists...
None of that can be justified.
In all of these places.
So if Hamas are hiding in a building full of disabled people, you support Israel bombing that building and killing everyone in it. So what do you support, Johnny?
To fight those Hamas people.
So what do you support?
The British did the same thing. Everyone, this is war.
And that's why the Geneva Convention was invented, to stop them from doing it again. So here is a building full of disabled people. You think there might be some Hamas people hiding in it, even though there is no proof, and everybody there... I'm going to finish, Johnny, and everybody there says there isn't, and you support bombing it and killing everyone in it. As long as when it turns out there were no terrorists in there, as long as everybody is held to account, Johnny. Am I right?
How do we know? How do you know there are no Hamas terrorists? We've seen them hiding in schools, in churches. We've seen it.
So you are. Why are you arguing with me? So you do support bombing a building full of disabled people because there might be some Hamas terrorists in there?
I don't. I support I support trying to shoot terrorists within a building like that. Otherwise, you could say...
The Patriarchate said that earlier on Saturday, an Israeli tank fired on part of the church compound with 54 disabled people inside. It caused a fire that destroyed the building's generator, the only source of electricity, and some of the disabled people can no longer use their respirators.
That's very sad. It's a terrible,
tragic...
Isn't
it just, Johnny? It is indeed.
But whose responsibility is... Who started it? Was Israel firing on Hamas on the 6th of October?
The person that fired the tank is responsible for that. and that people that fired the guns on October the 7th are responsible for what they did. But if you want to argue that Hamas is responsible for what Israel is doing, then you put yourself in the same intellectual position as the people who argue that Israel is responsible for what Hamas did.
Are totally responsible for what they do, because before Hamas went and took these hostages,
I'll say that again because I don't think you heard it. If you want to argue that Hamas is responsible for Israel killing innocent civilians, you're in the same intellectual and moral space as people who argue that Israel is responsible for Hamas killing innocent Israeli civilians.
Why? On what basis?
I'm going to leave you to think about that.
This wasn't just a case of a caller getting owned in a debate. It was a front-row seat to the radicalization of the moderate mind. We just watched exactly how extremism trickles down and poisons discourse. Johnny walked into this conversation holding on to the accountability defense like a life jacket. His logic was simple. I support the war because those who do wrong will be punished. It's a neat, tidy justification that lets a person sleep at night. But here's the problem. When Netanyahu's government makes accountability a fantasy, that life jacket turns into an anchor. As James hammered home the reality of snipers and dumb bombs, Johnny's moderate framework didn't just bend, it snapped. This is the Netanyahu effect in real time. When a government's actions become this extreme, the middle ground evaporates. You're forced to either abandon the cause or abandon your humanity. Shockingly, we saw Johnny choose the latter. To save his argument, he shed his principles and adopted the cold rhetoric of the state, eventually finding himself in the horrific position of justifying the bombing of disabled civilians. We're seeing this all across the British media landscape. Nuanced voices are being backed into corners until they're unrecognizable, trading empathy for blind, unquestioning defense. Johnny is the raw, unfiltered proof that when the moderate path is blocked by reality, some people will follow the extremist path right off a moral cliff. But what do you think? Has the middle ground completely disappeared? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown sharp, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Don't forget the notification bell. Thanks for watching.